Okay. We made it to Election Day with voters deciding on everything from local leaders to the next president of the United States. We break down some of those key races.
And after really beneficial rain last night, beautiful skies here today, but another storm later this week. We'll update you on the timing and impacts of that in First Warning Weather.
Election Day is here, and KXAN is your local election headquarters. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Will Dupree. We have crews spread out across central Texas. They are watching for potential problems at the polls and providing reaction and context to some of those down ballot items all the way up to the presidential race. Right now, though, let's get started with NBC's Bree Jackson. She is with the Harris campaign in D.C. And Bree, where is the vice president going to watch those poll results come in?
Good afternoon, Will. So earlier today, Vice President Harris stopped by a DNC phone bank to make some last-minute pitches to supporters, and later on this evening, she'll be here on the campus of Howard University. This is where she's holding her election night watch party. And this area that you see behind me, this is called the Yard. This is a popular area for students here on the campus. But university officials also tell me that this area has served as a backdrop for several presidential speeches, ranging from Calvin Coolidge to Lyndon Johnson, as well as Barack Obama. And supporters who gather here tonight to watch the Harris campaign, or to be with the Harris campaign and watch the election results roll in, they are hoping to witness history here on the campus of Howard University once again.
Bree, the vice president spent all day yesterday going across Pennsylvania, but talk about what her final message to voters was at that time.
So after 3.5 months of going across the country making her case, she did end her campaign there in critical battleground Pennsylvania. And what we saw during her last pitch to supporters there was really an optimistic tone. She once again emphasized turning the page on divisiveness and chaos. And what we noticed, she has not mentioned former President Trump, her opponent, in these closing days of her campaign. But what the campaign has said is that they are expecting legal challenges to tonight's election results. And they say that they are prepared. They have lawyers spanned out throughout the country to help protect election results. So Harris herself ending her campaign with a positive message, but they are also gearing up for the results to come in and possible legal battles ahead.
NBC's Bree Jackson, so nice to see you here this afternoon with us. Good luck tonight, and we will check in with you again. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump is in Florida today after a final day of barnstorming several battleground states. Trump held his last campaign rally in the early morning hours on Election Day in Michigan. That's the same place he finished the campaigns in 2016 and 2020. He says he's ready for anything.
If I lose an election, if it's a fair election, I'd be the first one to acknowledge it. And I think so far, I think it's been fair.
And voted in Florida and plans to join his supporters at an election party there tonight.
I'm Grace Reeder at the Austin Oaks polling location in South Austin. I'm going to be covering the Austin mayoral race for you today. I actually just spoke to two of the Austin mayoral candidates who are at this polling location right now, talking to some of those last-minute Election Day voters. There are 5 candidates in this race: incumbent Austin Mayor Kirk Watson, former Austin City Council member Kathy Tovo, and community organizers Carmen Yanis-Polito, Doug Greco, and Jeffrey Bowen. Most of them are going to be having watch parties tonight, and that's where you're going to catch us later tonight. We're going to be bouncing around as the polls close, getting reactions to some of those early numbers. Now, you may be wondering, why are we voting for Austin mayor again? Didn't we just do that? And the answer is yes. Mayor Kirk Watson actually served a half term, 2 years. That's because Austin voters voted to move their mayoral election to run concurrent with their presidential election. We're going to have all of the coverage for you in the Austin mayoral race all night. I'm Grace Reeder. Back to you.
I'm KXAN's Brianna Hollis outside of Austin City Hall, and I'll be covering the City Council races tonight. There are elections in districts 2, 4, 6, 7, and 10. Tonight, districts 2, 4, and 6 have incumbents running, and historically, incumbents have typically had a better chance of winning city council elections. Districts 7 and 10, however, are wide open. There are 2 candidates in District 10 and a packed field in District 7 with 6 candidates. Because these districts are in all parts of town, we are going to be spending, and by we, I mean photojournalist Frank Martinez and I are going to be spending a lot of time in this car right here. So I'm going to be in the back, Frank's going to be driving, so I'll be able to stay up to date with all of the results coming in. I'll be able to take notes and talk to candidates so we can be able to give you the most updated information and all the context that we can. So we'll see you in here at 5.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Beneficial rain last night and a beautiful sky now. This is how the Circuit of the Americas looks in southeast Austin with sunshine. Most of us are in the low 70s outside, very pleasant air, but noticeably cooler than yesterday. Many of us 5 to almost 15 degrees colder than we were 24 hours ago. And you can see on clouds and radar, the clouds have just continued to peel away through the afternoon. If you have yet to vote, you've still got time. Our election night forecast will make a selection. We're going to project that sunshine wins out here for the evening until the sun sets. Then the skies are clear. From the 70s, we drop down into the upper 60s here through 7. Here's your forecast of what we're going to be talking about here in just a few minutes. Tonight, we're expecting the coldest temperatures of the season and the coldest nights since April. We'll talk about those numbers. Yet another storm on the way to end the week. We'll take you through that, and a storm that we're watching soon to enter the Gulf of Mexico.
Nick, thanks so much. Texas withdrew a request today to have a federal judge block the Department of Justice from monitoring the state's elections. This came after the feds reached an agreement with the state attorney general's office. Here to talk more about that agreement and what was included in that is Kayla Guo. She is a reporter with the Texas Tribune. Kayla, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I want to get started by asking about what the DOJ agreed to do with its election monitors here in Texas.
So the DOJ essentially agreed and affirmed that it would follow state law in sending its election monitors to various polling places in Texas. So Texas state law doesn't include federal election monitors on its list of people who are allowed inside polling places and these stations where ballots are counted. So the DOJ essentially affirmed it will not be sending those staff into those polling places. Those staff will stay outside of 100 feet outside those polling places. So it essentially affirmed it would follow the state law.
And is there any reasoning why the Department of Justice was wanting to put those election monitors here in Texas across, I think, 8 counties in the first place?
So it's a matter of routine for the Justice Department to send federal election monitors throughout the country. Since the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the department has sent these monitors, particularly to ensure that more vulnerable populations can access the vote and to exercise their rights. The agency didn't say specifically why these 8 counties were selected, but usually factors including requests from local officials or federal court settlements and places with fast changing demographics end up on this list. 60 Texas House Democrats had also asked the Justice Department to send federal election monitors to various counties in Texas, saying they were worried that the state's top Republican leaders were targeting Democrats trying to vote.
Okay, and Kayla, finally for you, what did Texas leaders have to say about this agreement being reached with the Department of Justice?
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton cast it as a major victory for himself and for the state of Texas. He had argued that the Justice Department didn't have this authority to come in and quote unquote intimidate voters at the polls. But I think really the facts of the matter show that the Justice Department just said they're going to follow the law, and there wasn't an indication before then that they were not going to follow the state law.
All right, Kayla Guo with the Texas Tribune. We appreciate you reporting on this and for joining us this afternoon. Good luck tonight.
Thanks so much. You too.
We appreciate it. A legal battle over Elon Musk's election sweepstakes settled just before Election Day. What the judge decided coming up. Finally, Central Texas is very thankful today because we finally got some beneficial rain last night. Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon is looking at just how much rain fell. It sounded so nice falling outside the window last night.
Yes, all of Central Texas came together to agree on one thing, and that we loved the rain here last night. But it turns out yesterday was actually one of the wettest days of the whole year here in Central Texas. So let's talk about the rainfall reports in case you've missed them. So far, very little rain in the hill country over the last 24 hours. And of course, it's because that line of storms really developed in the eastern hill country. And that's where we ended up seeing some of our highest rainfall amounts in the 2 to 4 inch range, even some localized 5-inch reports in far southern Blanco County. In fact, 8 miles west of the center of Dripping Springs, almost 4 inches there. Some 2 to 3 inch amounts in western Travis and northwestern Hayes counties. At Austin's Camp Mabry, almost 2 inches of rain, a little over an inch at the airport, and a widespread 1 to 1.5 inches in our eastern counties. But meteorologist Freddie Vela, behind the scenes here, did a lot of digging into just how wet this was. And it turns out it was our second wettest day of the year, with that 1.79 at Camp Mabry. The previous, or really the only day wetter than this year, was January 22nd, when we had 3.11 inches of rain in one day. And I want to put the rainfall that we had yesterday in perspective with just how dry we've been. If you add up all the rain that Camp Mabry has had in August, September, and October, you get 1.89 inches. And yesterday, we had just 1/10 of an inch less than that in 24 hours, or really it was more like 5 hours that we got that rainfall. So basically 3 months worth of rain, the way that things have been lately, all in just one day. Now, how common is it to get about 1.5 inches or more of rain in a single day? When in an average year in Austin, we have days where we get more than 1.5 inches of rain. But so far this year, we've had just 4, including yesterday. So we're due a couple more. We'll see if we end up getting that here before the end of the year. By the way, on KXAN.com right now, if you're curious how much rain you had where you lived or in other neighborhoods you're interested in, KXAN.com under the weather tab, you can look at those Austin area rainfall totals. Let's take you outside right now with a beautiful blue sky and sunshine from our Austonian weather camera. Looking to the north, if you haven't voted yet, the weather is oh so comfortable for that. If you're planning on voting, say 6, 7 o'clock though, just before the polls close, it is going to get cooler rather quickly here tonight. So maybe an extra jacket, not a bad idea. 72 is where we are now in Austin. This is as hot as it's been all day long, but we're going to cool off quite a bit here by tomorrow morning. We'll be starting out at 51 in Austin, but look at all the widespread 40s that we expect to begin your morning with here tomorrow. This would easily be our coldest morning of the season, and we're thinking it's going to be our coldest morning since April. But we do warm up tomorrow morning, starting in the 50s. A lot of sunshine throughout the day. We'll put those high temperatures at about 78 in the afternoon. So we go from cool in the morning to actually above average later in the day. Now, you can see where the cold front and the storms from yesterday went. They are now well to the east. So we've got this clear sky, not just today, but tonight and most of the day tomorrow. But we'll be looking ahead to our next storm system that'll be coming in on Thursday. Let me show you the early timing on that. First of all, we'll quickly go through your Wednesday, which is basically sunny from start to finish with the exception of some patchy fog in the morning. Then low clouds come in late tomorrow night, giving way to spotty to scattered showers and some isolated thunderstorms in the morning. And then I think we do see a little bit of an uptick in thunderstorms in the afternoon, but it won't be raining all day Thursday. I do think it's going to be rather on and off. Then as we get into Friday, as a cold front approaches, we may see another line of downpours and storms entering the hill country again. This line does look like it may lose some of its intensity as it moves farther eastward. Our computer models only go out to noon so far on Friday. As they advance later into the day, we'll show you later into Friday, but still decent bets of rain on Thursday and Friday. But for tonight, down to 51, clear and chilly with some patchy morning fog in spots. And there's your mostly sunny Wednesday with a high of 78. Decent rain and storm chances Thursday, Friday. 70% of us get at least some measurable rain on Thursday. Those rain chances down somewhat to 50% on Friday. I think the wettest places on Friday will be in the hill country. By the way, on Thursday into early Friday morning, there is a low 1 out of 5 severe weather risk west of I-35 right now. It looks to be primarily for damaging wind concerns with a bit more of that severe weather threat just west of our area. Certainly we'll keep you apprised of that, as it does not look to be a significant severe weather risk, but one or two storms may be on the strong or severe side. The cold front that comes through on Friday, though, should take most of the rain with it, leaving us with a mostly, if not completely dry, yet cooler weekend. 73 with sun and clouds on Saturday, 78. More sun, just a few clouds on Sunday. Veterans Day on Monday looking warmer at 81, with highs up to 83 on Tuesday.
Nick, thanks so much. A Pennsylvania judge ruled that the PAC run by Elon Musk can keep its $1 million a day voter sweepstakes going. Deanna Durante reports.
No district attorney, no prosecutor, I don't care how powerful they are, can take away the First Amendment freedoms.
Lawyers hired by DA Larry Krasner say the payments were a scam, telling a judge the PAC misled the public by first suggesting those $1 million payments would be awarded on a random basis for those who signed a petition for the America PAC. The PAC's treasurer told the court that it was never the plan to choose people at random. Rather, people were selected. They were vetted and went through a security process before they were surprised with the opportunity to become a PAC spokesperson. And while many payments have not yet been made, America PAC's treasurer says thousands of Philadelphians qualified for money by referring others to sign the PAC's petition. And those who were hired to be spokespeople, according to the defense witness, signed NDAs and can't talk about the process for which they were selected. But the PAC has publicly announced those who have been chosen and says they will all be paid by November 30th. The district attorney's team in court called the efforts by Musk one of the biggest scams in 50 years.
We believe in the rule of law. The rule of the law is that you respect what judges do and say, and that's where things are.
Deanna Durante with that story. The presidential election outcome could depend on just a handful of swing states. We take a look at how voting in the battleground state of Georgia has changed since the last presidential election in 2020. Welcome back, everybody, and we want to show you a live look right now where Travis County poll workers are working to count all the ballots. We're just about 2.5 hours away from polls closing. As of 3 this afternoon, more than 69,000 people have voted today here in Travis County. Election results tonight will likely hinge on those key swing states, including Georgia. The state was the center of election interference back in the 2020 presidential election. Former President Trump lost that state to President Biden by less than half a point. News Nation's Elizabeth Pran shows us how it's going there today.
And if you're looking for evidence that the new Georgia laws are working, today is the day. We are in one of 177 different precinct locations in just Fulton County alone. The wait times appear to be about 2 minutes, check-in time about 49 seconds. We heard from the Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger just yesterday. He said he anticipates about 1.1 million voters to head to the polls today. If anyone waits longer than an hour, they will be sending resources to that location to alleviate those wait times. We've been talking to first-time voters all day, all throughout the morning. They are incredibly excited. People coming that didn't vote early, wanted to wait for today. The process has been seamless, and they're very excited to get to the polls. We've spoken with state lawmakers who seem, both of them, very optimistic, especially after the tight race in 2020. Here they are.
Republicans are very excited. Right now, everybody's energized. Every event I've been to with President Trump or Senator Vance has been great attendance. So, I think we're going to see what's going to happen.
We've been counted out before, and we continue to defy the odds, and we're ready to do it again on Tuesday.
If you're curious as to how important the state of Georgia is, just look how many times the candidates or their surrogates visited the Peach State, about 49 times. Ask any person who's been watching television or a streaming service. There has been well over $300 million spent on ads. The Secretary of State did say that they have everything in order to start counting those votes after that 7 p.m. Eastern deadline tonight. They hope to have at least 60% counted by 8 p.m. Eastern. Back to you.
Elizabeth Pran there in Georgia. Turning back to here at home, another thing that's on the ballot is that school districts across Central Texas are asking voters to increase their taxes in order to help with the large budget shortfall. Take a look.
I'm KXAN investigator Kelly Wiley reporting from Austin Library's Carver branch. Today, voters are weighing in on more than just the presidency. Austin voters are also looking at the financial future of one of the largest school districts in Texas. Austin ISD is asking voters for a tax rate increase. For homeowners, that could mean more than $412 more in property taxes each year. For the district, it means $41 million more in revenue annually. The district leaders are saying for teachers, they could see an increase in their salary reflected on their paychecks as early as December if Prop A passes. But there is a big hang-up for some voters. Some voters are concerned about the majority of the revenue from this tax rate increase not staying with the district. $130 million, if this passes, is set to go back to the state and be redistributed to other school districts. We're weighing in with school leaders and voters all tonight. Stick with us. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Kelly. Keeping track of who's winning in all the races you care about can be daunting. Coming up, what UT is doing to help make that process a little bit easier. Election Day is upon us. We are, of course, focusing on what's happening here in Texas, but we also want to take a look at what's happening in the key swing state of Michigan. NBC's Maggie Vespa has been on the ground there today talking to some voters. Maggie, thanks for being here, but tell us what voters are telling you about how they're feeling today.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're definitely, just like everybody else, waiting with bated breath to figure out who's going to win the presidential race, if nothing else, and it is razor thin here in Michigan. We're talking about polls that show the vice president with the lead, but as little as a 1-point lead. That's well within the margin of error. The thing that's kind of helping people breathe a little bit easier is the fact that the early voting process has kind of changed since 2020, and it should speed things up. Right now, we're at a processing center for absentee and mail-in ballots, and what you're looking at behind me are election workers who are tasked with opening the mail-in ballots, checking like the ballot number with the envelope that was assigned to any given voter. And then if we could walk and kind of swing over this way, you see these kind of large printer looking devices here at the ends of these tables. Those are tabulators. So the ballots will be fed into those tabulators. That's how they're counted. The key here is they were able to start this process 8 days in advance, and this is the first time they've ever been able to do that for a presidential race. They changed the law in 2022 to speed things up. So we should have final results here in Michigan by midday tomorrow, according to the Secretary of State. That would be hours faster than what we had last year. So at least that gives some relief to voters who are on edge here.
Yeah, that's very good to know for all of us who are watching the results there. What about in the presidential race? How is this likely to shape up based on polling and what you've heard from voters today?
Yeah, well, like we said, those polls show Vice President Harris holding a very narrow lead. I'm going to walk back over this way because those computer screens can pop up with sensitive info at any minute. A very narrow lead here, but I mean, it's really neck and neck here in Michigan. And by the way, these 15 electoral votes are up for grabs. And it's considered a swing state because in 2016, President Trump took this state by just 0.2 of a point. Former President Trump took the state by a very narrow margin. Cut to 2020, President Biden took it back, but only by 3 points. So again, it's been tight these last couple of elections, and it's really a dead heat. It's neck and neck once again. The top issues that we're hearing about here in Michigan, perhaps no surprise given that it's home to Motor City, the economy and inflation. But the next top two issues are abortion rights and the preservation of democracy. So it's really kind of a mixed bag as to how those issues might play out for any given candidate. But, Will, I got to tell you, we've heard, as you know, the candidates harp on those issues over and over because both Vice President Harris and former President Trump have visited Michigan more than 12 times during the course of their campaigns. And, of course, former President Trump visiting here late last night in Grand Rapids for his final stop. So how those issues play out for either side is anyone's guess, but we'll know soon.
So many eyes on Michigan, but for now, Maggie Vespa, we appreciate you joining us and for giving us an update.
I'm here in Caldwell County covering several different races, including a proposition that could decriminalize low-level marijuana possession in Lockhart and Bastrop. Now, voters in those two cities will decide whether or not to decriminalize possession of 4 ounces or less. Now, essentially, this would deprioritize arrests and prosecution of low-level marijuana possession offenses in those cities. If approved, Bastrop and Lockhart wouldn't be the first Central Texas cities to ease their marijuana laws. Austin and San Marcos approved similar measures. Caldwell County voters will also have to decide on a sheriff. Voters will choose between current Caldwell County Sheriff Mike Lane and current County Chief of Homeland Security and Emergency Hector Rangel. From the race for sheriff to street improvements, a $150 million transportation bond is on the ballot as well. It would fund 22 projects focused on things like road construction and low water crossing replacements. Reporting in Caldwell County, Sarah Alshah, KXAN News.
I'm Barrett Tryon in Williamson County. We're covering 2 big races tonight, the sheriff and then also a nearly $1 billion bond for Round Rock schools. Now, Sheriff Mike Gleason is running for re-election for Williamson County Sheriff. He was the first Democrat to be elected as sheriff here in some 30 years. He defeated then Sheriff Robert Chody. Now, running against Gleason is Republican and current Precinct 3 Constable Matthew Lindman. Lindman told us he wants to take a more proactive rather than reactive approach on stopping fentanyl here in the county. He said he planned to do that by having more education in schools, as one example. Gleason said he will continue to be tough on that illegal drug as well. Now, the other big race is that $1 billion RRISD bond. It is actually broken up into 4 parts. It can pass all together or individually. That bond will go towards things ranging from infrastructure and building needs to a new athletic facility and upgraded sound systems for performing arts programs. By the way, Republicans holding a watch party at Old Settlers in Round Rock, Democrats holding a watch party at Mesa Rosa Mexican restaurant off 620. Of course, we'll be stopping by both locations as the night goes on. For now, we're in Williamson County. Barrett Tryon, KXAN News.
Our team is everywhere, everything all at once tonight, but with all these races to keep track of tonight, and yes, there are dozens, even hundreds of them, it's easy to get lost in all the names and the numbers, but there are some handy tools in place to help out. Here with us this afternoon is Mark Strama with the Annette Strauss Institute for Civic Life at the University of Texas. Mark, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What a busy night for all of us, indeed, but you and your students launched something pretty cool recently. It was an election tracker with all the results kind of in one place. Talk about how it works exactly.
Yeah, well, like you, I've always spent election night kind of surfing from one data source to another.
Right.
To check on all the different elections that I'm interested in. Our interns and undergraduate students have created a one-stop shop for every race that I'm interested in and that I think most people are going to be interested in tonight, from Austin City Council and mayoral races to the competitive races for the state legislature to the swing districts for Congress that will determine who controls the U.S. House and Senate, to the swing states that will decide who wins in the Electoral College, plus all of the abortion and democracy-related ballot initiatives in states around the country. And so you can go to on our website, AnnetteStrauss.org, you can click the link to the tracker from the homepage and open up a spreadsheet with all of those races. The cool part is we have 300 students coming to a party tonight to watch the election returns, and they will be in shifts refreshing the data from all the authoritative sources from the state election officials and from the Associated Press, and keeping that tracker up to date every 20 seconds. So
it's amazing that something like that didn't really exist before now, because it makes it so much easier to follow all those different races.
Yeah, I mean, you know, every media outlet has one that follows the races that they cover.
Right.
But this is one place where you can see all the really intensely interesting races, especially for people from Texas.
And we're showing it right now here for people. Remind everybody what the website is, so if they want to check it out tonight.
Yep, our website is AnnetteStrauss.org, and on the homepage there's a link to that tracker, and it just opens up as a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah, I will definitely be looking at that tonight. Additionally, besides that election tracker, you all published a report looking at turnout for the election. When you saw all those numbers, how did they compare from Texas to the rest of the country?
So that's great. That's an image of the report.
Yeah.
The report evaluates how Texas compares to the country in terms of overall turnout, and we don't compare great. In the 2020 election, I think we were 46th in the country for overall turnout. In the 2022 midterms, we were 42nd in the country. But what gets more interesting in the data that you're showing there is a more granular look at the different demographic groups within the state and within the country. And that revealed some really interesting things. For example, the last time African American voters were the highest turnout demographic group by race and ethnicity was 2008 and 2012, which was the last time there was an African American at the top of the ticket. We may see something like that happen again tonight. It also shows that voters under the age of 30 and voters with no college education are terribly underrepresented in the voting electorate by a factor of 30 to 40% relative to their share of the eligible voters. They underperform the rest of the country. And so, you know, I hope there's 2 hours left. I hope everybody gets to the polls.
Yeah, definitely so. And we encourage everybody to get out there and vote. But for now, Mark Strama, we appreciate you being here with us. And good luck tonight with all the students putting all that information into this graphic. We appreciate it.
Thank you.